and gentlemen, we are gonna raise the roof, go nuts, go crazy as we bring out Mulholland!
We're not American, chill out. Good to have you here, Edinburgh Festival. Thank you so much for coming along to my show. If you're from Britain, you'll already be able to tell I am from the north of England. Thank you, my northern brothers. But I fucked up, I've got to let you know. I've ruined my life recently. I moved to the south. Right. Honestly, it's fucking ruined everything. It's awful, right? Because, I moved to Brighton, because of course I fucking did. We got Brighton people. I'll be honest, you're not going to enjoy this show. Not a fan. Right, no, because, of course I moved to fucking Brighton, though. For anyone who's not from Britain, Brighton is our San Francisco, right? Basically, it's the same shit, except if you replace all the technology with, cocaine and stag doos. It's Brighton. I moved there because of course I fucking did. You have to when you look like this. By the way, I am a comedian, chill out. I know I look more like I'm about to do a talk about my home-brewed craft ale. I'm a comedian. I tell you what, moving to Brighton as a northern lad isn't easy. When you move to Brighton as a northern lad, you've got to tell your northern lad mates you're moving to Brighton. They all do the same thing, right? When you tell a northern lad mate you're moving to Brighton, you're like, oh, I'm moving to Brighton soon. They all go, huh, gay. Pretty gay, innit? Gay in Brighton, a lot of gay people there. Is that where you're moving, because you're gay? Yeah? Are you going to go be gay in Brighton? Are you going to get bummed in Brighton? Are you going to suck a dick because you're gay now? I was like, fucking hopefully. I don't know about anyone else who's straight in here. I'd fucking love to be gay. I would. If I could choose, I would definitely choose it. If gay conversion therapy worked, I'd have it like that. Definitely, I'd be like, flip that switch, bring on the dicks. I would love it. Right. The reason is, right, I've got loads of gay mates, loads of them, and every single one of them is having way more fun than me. Right, it's because of the way they date, it's way more fun. Gay dating is definitely more fun. Because when you're a young, single, straight guy and you're looking to play the field, have a bit of fun, you go on all those websites and those apps, every other profile of women you see is just if you're looking for a one-night stand, fuck right off. Right. I'm looking for a serious commitment, I want 48 kids next week, no fucking time wasters. Whereas on Grindr, the gay version, every other profile's just I want a whole arm in me! No! Jesus. Right, fair play, lads. Got to respect that fucking hustle, haven't you? Getting involved. Right, and by the way, if you think that's a gross overgeneralisation about gay men, no. They're filthy, every one of them. Dirty bastards. They are. And I'll tell you why, it's because they're all men. True, isn't it? But no, I say I'm jealous, but to be honest with you, I'm calming my life down now. I'm chilling out a bit. I'm not doing one-night stands anymore. I mean, the missus doesn't like them. But when I used to come up to this festival, I used to rage hard at the Edinburgh Festival. I used to party. I used to be crazy. But this year I've realised, no amount of drugs and pussy can compare with bread and cheese. After this show, I'm going home to a baguette and some Philadelphia and fuck the lot of you. I'm going to have a great time. Because when I was up here, I used to be drinking all the time, sleeping around. It was dead fun, but you get into weird situations. Having one-night stands, you get into proper weird situations. When I was last up at this festival, I had a particularly weird one that put me off for a bit. And by the way, when I tell you this story, I'm not boasting, but I'm definitely boasting. Because last time I was up here, right, I slept with a Californian girl. I know, right? That was my reaction too. I was well excited. I thought it was going to be fucking amazing, because I've heard her voice in every porn film I've ever seen. I was so excited. I couldn't wait. But it wasn't good. It was too much. I couldn't handle it, right? Because I am a simple Yorkshire lad. Now, in Yorkshire, we're a very simple folk. We're direct, we're blunt, we say what we're fucking thinking. Which means dirty talk in Yorkshire is dead simple too. Dirty talk in Yorkshire is all just stuff like, oh, fucking smash it uppers. I'm a bit right in, you dirty great get. I got free parking in town centre earlier. And that's what does it for me. That's my world, turns me on. I was not ready for Californian dirty talk. Like, they're too confident, they're too enthusiastic. Now, I apologise for what I'm about to say to you. Right, but this is verbatim, it's direct quote, so don't blame me, right? During, she fixed me with full eye contact and just went, yeah, go on, claim that pussy. Jesus, claim that pussy. Claim it. So I put a flag in it. Yeah, then wrote a revisionist history about how it was uncivilized before I arrived. Yeah. Consider yourself claimed English style. I'll tell you what, if there was tea up there, that's my fucking tea now. Yeah, I don't think any of us expected that pussy joke to be about colonialism, but there we are. I'm a highbrow scumbag. Oh, you're a good crowd today. It's nice. It's nice to be amongst fun people having a laugh. Because, like, people keep telling me it's a hard time to be a comedian at the moment. I keep getting this. People are like, oh, it must be hard being a comedian at the moment. In the current climate, you can't say anything anymore, can you? Yes, you fucking can. Like, you can still say anything you want as long as you're not a massive fucking fanny about it. Right, all that happens is nowadays, you say something that someone doesn't like, they send you a tweet, and what you do is delete. It's the whole fucking process. People are like, oh, it must be hard being a comedian. Complain to HR. I'm self-employed. Fuck off. Nothing you can do. Gonna carry on saying whatever I want. Fucking come at me. Right, and I'm speaking from experience. I've been the subject of online outrage. I got in trouble last year for fat shaming. But in my defence, the person I was shaming is a fat cunt. They are! All right, also my best friend. I want to make that very clear. Right, this isn't a random attack on a stranger. This is me and my best mate fucking about, and he is a fat cunt, right? He is, and he's not even that fat to look at, right? The thing with him is, he's a fat cunt on the inside. Like, honestly, he looks at pasta the way Prince Andrew looks at underage girls. Awful. Horrible. Right. Right. So me and my mate, we're having a bit of banter. We're fucking around on the internet. I call him a fat cunt for getting him on Twitter where other people can see it. Right. Someone retweeted it out of context, and suddenly I'm the fat-shaming comedian, right? Getting loads of grief, loads of abuse from people, but all I did was turn my phone off and went for a walk. It was fine. I came back to about 500 more followers. My career went up. Fucking nothing you can do. It was amazing though, right? Because I want to make this very clear. I don't think you should ever fat shame someone who isn't your best mate, right? If they are your best mate, have a word. But right, if they're not, leave them to it, right? Don't fucking fat shame strangers. It happens all the time as well, especially online. Like, people just contact random fat people and start giving them grief. They're just like, you need to lose weight. Right, and the reason they always give, their excuse for doing this is always, I'm just concerned about your health. Fuck off, you just want to be a knob. Right, because why would you be concerned about a stranger's health? That's mental. There's too many people on Earth as it is. We're overpopulated. If someone I don't know wants to do something that might kill them, good. Like, if you go outside tonight and you see someone morbidly obese, don't give them abuse. Give them a cake. Right? They'll be happier. The process will have moved on. Everyone's a winner. Right, but the argument about fat shaming's gone mental, hasn't it? Because it's gone on the internet. And as soon as we go on the internet, we get in our little teams, don't we? And as soon as you're part of a team, everyone's just trying to defend their position. You're not trying to come together and compromise to find truth. Everyone's just firing shots over the top and trying to win rather than be right, which is fucked. Because what happens is, when you're just trying to win, you keep saying more and more stupid shit in order to try and prove your point. Like, for example, I saw someone on the internet recently on Twitter who was a prominent fat activist. What they put on Twitter was, fat shaming is the new racism. Fucking no. Like, for a start, I think racism's still pretty popular, isn't it? Like, if anything, it's having a bit of a comeback right now. Right, and by the way, right, like, the thing is, I think fat shaming's bad, but I don't think it's as bad as racism. I don't think you should compare the two of them. I think it's insulting to do so. And I will prove to you that they are not the same thing. I will prove it using one example. Here it is. Say, Denzel Washington can't go for a walk and be a bit less black at the end of it. Not the same thing, is it? Like, if anything, if the sun's out, it's having the opposite effect. Right, there's never been a period in history where fat people were rounded up to be used as slaves in a foreign land. Because think of the shipping cost. Ooh! Right, and after 6 months in the field, they're not going to be big anymore, are they? They're going to have worked it all off. You're going to have to get a whole new bunch of fat slaves from wherever you get fat people from. And traditionally, you ship slaves to America. I do think you should leave out of other people's health, though. I think that's important. Health's private, innit? It's none of your fucking business. Like, it happened to me recently. I was in a park filling up a water bottle at a fountain. This guy came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder, and just went, excuse me, mate, I just wanted you to know, actually, you shouldn't refill plastic water bottles because it can release carcinogens into the water. It can cause cancer. It can be very dangerous. I was like, well, thank you for your concern, pal, but you'll notice, in my other hand, is a lit cigarette. Do you want to get some fucking priorities in order here, mate? It's like going up to Pete Doherty and telling him to put less sugar in his tea. Fucking hell. But obviously, cancer's fucking horrible. It's the worst. Like, obviously, it affects all of us at some point. I'm never meaning to make light of cancer. I never would. It's horrible. It affects all of us either directly or indirectly at some point in your life. But some people don't fucking help, do they? Like, I saw someone on Facebook about 2 months ago, right? They were doing a big charity stunt. And the reason they were doing this stunt was to raise awareness for cancer. Who's not fucking aware? Like, has there ever been a conversation in a doctor's office like, I'm really sorry, Mrs. Smith, I'm afraid it's cancer. And have Mrs. Smith go, oh, what's that? No, we're all aware. Raising awareness for cancer. Can you do anything less useful than raising awareness for cancer? Christ, it's like raising ego for Kanye. Raising awareness for cancer. Fucking hell. Like, honestly, right, here's my point. If there is someone out there who isn't aware of cancer, don't ruin that for them. Let them live in that world. Isn't that nicer? And anyway, if they are that fucking ignorant, they're not coming up with the cure. Right, you're not going to tell them, like, yeah, it's this horrible disease, loads of people get it, and have them go, have you tried ginger? To the laboratory. It's madness. I mean, but obviously, I think it's the papers that make us so mad about cancer, because every fucking day there's something new that causes it on the front page, isn't there? And it's never good news. Like, we found out cigarettes cause cancer, but then we found out bacon can cause it. Apparently sex can cause types of it. I think I've figured out the real cause of cancer. Joy! Like, apparently anything you like will fucking kill you, so bollocks to it. I reckon you got two choices in this life. Either you can die aged about 38 with a tumour the size of Wales and a smile on your face, or you can live to be like 190 and die of suicide from boredom. Right, so if anyone needs me after the show, I'll be outside putting my dick inside a bacon sandwich I've set on fire. Because I believe in freedom. I don't know if you've noticed already, I'm quite an angry man. I'm quite filled with rage all the time. It was part of the reason I moved down to Brighton. I mean, I moved for love, but also I moved to her down there because I thought it'd be nice, you know. I moved down to the coast. I thought a bit of warm weather might chill me out, being by the sea. It's not worked. I'm more filled with rage than I ever have been, right? Because I've been in Brighton for 6 months and already I'm at war. I'm at war in Brighton. I'll tell you I'm at war with fucking seagulls. Those little bastards. They fucking follow me up here as well, the cunts. Fucking everywhere. And I know a few of you will be sat in this audience like, you'll be from a town where you get pigeons. You'll be like, oh yeah, we know what you're on about. We've got pigeons, they're dead annoying. You don't know shit. Like, seagulls make pigeons look like fucking hummingbirds. Like, seagulls are the worst animal. They are greasy, loud, obnoxious, aggressive little dickheads. Like, if David Attenborough watched you kick a seagull in the head, he'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Definitely the worst animals. They're horrible little cunts. They shit on my car every morning. I now drive a 10-year-old Jackson Pollock. Fucking awful. I hate them so much. They're definitely the worst animal. Like, for me, I think the ranking goes like dung beetle, pubic lice, seagulls. James Corden. I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules. Honestly, they're the fucking worst. Because I'm from rural North Yorkshire. I'm used to in North Yorkshire opening my eyes every morning to bird song. Every morning in Yorkshire, you open your eyes to like oh. It's delightful. Every morning, Brighton, 6 a.m. It's like waking up in the shower scene from Psycho. I just sit bolt upright every morning like, have I been murdered? Fucking horrible little bastards. Like, I did get a bit of vicarious revenge recently, right? There was a story in the papers about 3 months ago. You might have seen this. It was in all the papers and it was fucking incredible. Right, what the story was, the headline was, angry grandad smashes seagull to death. Right, now what happened was, there was a man from Wales. His name was John Llewellyn-Jones, because of course it fucking was. Right, now, John was enjoying his retirement. He decided to go to the seaside, and whilst he was at the seaside, he treated himself to some chips. When a seagull came along, stole his chips, so John's reaction was to grab the seagull by its legs and smash it against a rock till it was dead. Yeah. In front of children. Yeah. Madness, innit? Crazy. I mean, when I read that story, I expected a cheap chuckle, and to be honest, I got one, right? But I didn't expect to learn about myself, but I did. I learned something about me. And what I learned about me that day was, I don't love chips. Right, don't get me wrong, I like chips. I like chips a lot. They are one of my favourite foods. But I don't love chips. John Llewellyn-Jones fucking loves chips. Because if my chips get stolen, I'll be pissed off, but I'll buy more. They're a fucking quid. Not John, though. No, his first reaction is to try and destroy a species and a child's innocence. Madness, innit? But I was reading this story online, and that's the kind of story you've got to read the comments on, innit? Right. So I scrolled down to the comment section, and it was fucking amazing. Everyone on there is just like, oh, this is child abuse, it's animal abuse. Call the NSPCC and the RSPCA. And I was straight in that comment section like, no. John Llewellyn-Jones is a national fucking treasure. Get him on the honours list, knight him immediately. Right, now looking round, I can see some sceptical faces. I can see a few of you don't agree with me, and that's fine. If you don't agree that John Llewellyn-Jones is a hero, you're not just thinking about it properly. You've got to think about what he actually did that day. Because what he actually did that day is fucking incredible. Because if you've ever seen a seagull steal chips, you'll know they don't do it slow. Like, they don't just walk up and distract you while another one nicks them, you know, like they're trying to sell you a rose outside a nightclub. No. They're in, they grab them, and they fuck off. Right? But John loves his chips, so he's waiting for a threat. When a seagull hovered overhead, saw his chips, but didn't realise that he chose the wrong guy to fuck with. So when the seagull came in to steal his chips, he grabbed them, went to fly away, then John Llewellyn-Jones, a man in his fucking 60s, grabbed a bird out of the sky. Right? It was flying away, and he caught it like Mr. fucking Miyagi, right? And in one motion grabbed it and bam, 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 let the children watch, they've got to learn. Pow! Amazing, isn't it? Amazing. I mean, he did get fined 750 quid. But, you know, I think that's a bit of a bargain, if you ask me. So at the end of the show, I will be taking donations, but rest assured, they are going to a good cause. I'm looking to raise about $3,000 so I can make a fucking afternoon of it. Honestly, though, it's not just the animals in Brighton that are fucking me off. Half the people are cunts, too. Like, I met loads of lovely people down there, don't get me wrong, but there's also a lot of fucking knobheads. Like, every third person I meet's got blue hair and an opinion on why I'm offensive, and, like, it's doing me in. Right, because when I lived in the north, I thought I was a modern, liberal, progressive guy. I moved to Brighton, turns out I'm a fucking Nazi. Who knew? It's a surprise to me. Right, because I keep getting told off for things I didn't even know were bad. I keep getting in trouble for things I didn't know were unethical. Like recently, at a party, I got told off because I eat Warburton's bread. Apparently that's bad now. Apparently Warburton's is unethical because the Warburton family donate money to the Tory party. Now, before we go any further, I just want to let you know this isn't going to turn into a political show. I don't care which way you've voted in the last few years. I hope we can come together here and avoid the divisiveness that's made this country shit for a little bit. And anyway, I don't vote. I don't. And I know you're disappointed in me for not voting, but I also don't read, right? I shouldn't vote. Right? I'm not in any way suggesting you don't vote, I'm saying I shouldn't. Right? But when you tell people you don't vote, people are so fucking smug. I tell people I don't vote and they're just like, ugh, well if you don't vote, you can't complain. Fucking watch me. Right? What they always say is as well, if you're not going to vote, you should at least spoil your ballot. That's what you should do. You should spoil your ballot to register your discontent. No! Right? I can't be arsed. That is the only situation in which someone will respect you more for going to a primary school to draw a cock on something. I'm like, what do they think is going to happen? What do they think is going to happen with that gesture? Do you think anyone's going to give a shit? Do you think they're going to be down at the count like, hold on. Everyone, stop the count. Someone is disillusioned with democracy. No, they're just going to chuck it in the bin with the votes for the Lib Dems. It's done. Right, so when this guy's telling me about Warburton's being unethical, whilst he's telling me off for that, all I could think was, tell me when shitter bread is cancelled. Right, because Warburton's is the best bread by a mile, innit? It's so light and fluffy and delicious. Like, it's so good. Right, this isn't a fucking discussion, knobheads. By far the best bread. We got someone from fucking Kingsmill in. It's my favourite bread by a mile. It's so light and fluffy and delicious. Like, you could tell me that Warburton's funded ISIS, and I'd be like, can I still get it when it's on offer? It's definitely the best bread if you ask me, right? I love it so much, right? Honestly, but right, my main point is, how fragile have you got to be that you can't have an ideological disagreement with toast? Like, for fuck's sake, like, and in the last few years, right, these pricks have, already everyone who's been cancelled, I've already lost my favourite comedians and actors and TV presenters. Can you stay away from me crumpets? Jesus, and of course Warburtons are Tories, they're millionaires. That's who Tories are. Right, but what really fucked me off about this guy was whilst he was telling me off, whilst he was lecturing me for my poor choice of unethical breakfast, whilst he was doing that, we were doing cocaine. Right. It's like, mate, are you under the impression that this is fair trade, organic, free-range cocaine? No, I bought it from a man in a park. I didn't check into the ethics of his supply chain. But I'm willing to bet if you go back far enough in that supply chain, you'll find the Colombian cartel. Right, now I don't know a lot about the cartel. I've watched a couple of episodes of Narcos, that's about it. But what I've gleaned from that limited research is those lads probably did a couple of things a bit more naughty than closing a couple of fucking libraries. Just saying, if I've got to give a fuck about my £1.50 a week bread habit, maybe have a think about your 50 quid a night Charlie habit, you cunt. Like, fuck me. Like, if there's anyone in here who still doesn't believe me that bread is not as bad as cocaine, I will fucking prove it. Right? If you get caught going through customs with bread up your ass, they give it back. Quickly. Like, you are free to go with no further questions. No one wants to know why you've got half a baguette 9 inches up you. Get the fuck out of here, you yeasty weirdo. Like, you've never seen this, have you? Tonight on Banged Up Brits Abroad, Chelsea, 23 from Essex, is facing a life sentence for smuggling in Thailand. Yeah, the guy told me I would get a free holiday if I took a tiger loaf in my suitcase. I thought it was weird when he started gaffer taping English muffins to my tits. But by that point, I had eaten so much of his bread, it was the only way I could repay him. After finding the first 2 items, the Thai authorities were due to release Chelsea till she fell foul of the 3 strikes rule. Yeah, I don't know how they even found the baguette that far up there. Fucking mental, innit? But I don't do that anymore. I've given up cocaine. I don't do it anymore. I stopped it. I had to stop it because I stopped drinking. And yeah, if you give up drinking, you can't do coke still. I'm sorry to tell anyone this. It's a horrible realisation because I gave up the booze and I was like, you know what? I'm still fun. I'll have a line. All that happens is you get very anxious very quickly. Right, I did a line and immediately I was just like, I think I might kill myself. Yeah? Shall I have another one? That might fix it. Didn't fucking fix it. But yeah, I've given up drinking in the last few months. Like, I had to, right? I was getting to a point where it really needed looking at. The moment I realised I was going to have a think about me drinking, right? I was telling a story to a mate of mine. He's a Kiwi lad, he's from New Zealand. And I don't think he's really used to how British people drink, right? So I was telling him a story of what to me was a normal Tuesday night, right? I told him this story and I was like, right, so about 1 a.m. I went into this bar, then I blacked out, right? I don't remember anything after that, complete blackout. And he was like, oh my God, that's so scary, you blacked out, oh my God, that's terrifying. Are you all right? That's so dangerous, you blacked out, oh my God. And I was like, mate, that is the start of that story. Like, we haven't fucking begun yet. I've said once upon a time, we haven't found the wolf. Right, because if you tell a British person you blacked out, that's not an anecdote, is it? You tell a British person you blacked out, they're just like, yeah, of course you did. Yeah. Otherwise, how would you know when you finished drinking? Right, and by the way, right, if you want to know the rest of that story, right, I don't have time to tell you the whole thing, I'll give you the highlights, right, basically what happened was, I had my phone stolen by a prostitute in a casino that was in a different city to the one I started drinking in. Yeah, so you wake up the day after that and you're like, you know what, I think I've completed drinking. Right, I've maxed out my character, I've done all the side quests, time to move on to something new. So I did, I knocked it on the head, but giving up drinking in this country is not easy, right? You tell British people you're giving up drinking, they're like, why? It's aggressive, it's like, fucking hell. But don't ask people that question. What story are you expecting? Right, it's not going to be a happy story back, is it? Right, you're never going to ask someone why they've given up drinking and have them go like, oh, actually, I got a promotion at work, me and the girlfriend are moving in together, and I thought, you know what, let's never have fun again. No, it's always something tragic, isn't it? The reason people give up drinking, it's always something like, yeah, I was driving home from the pub, pissed, and I ran over my grandma. Don't ask. Just don't ask. Like, the only possible good answer when you ask me why I've given up drinking is if I'm like, oh, actually, I've converted to Islam, hence the fucking beard. And like, even that's not a happy story, is it? Like, it's not a happy story if I suddenly converted to Islam. I mean, nothing against Islam in particular. I'm not that fucking brave. No. No. Not at all. No. It's just that if you find God in your 30s, you've had a breakdown. All I'm saying is, God doesn't find a lot of happy people. It's like becoming a mature student. It always follows a divorce. You know what I mean? So, but I gave up the drinking. I've been doing that. It's been all right, you know. I gave up cigarettes as well. I gave up smoking. I gave up gambling. I still do weed. I'm not a pussy. But like, out of everything that I gave up in the last year, genuinely, the hardest thing to give up, out of everything I've given up, was Sudafed nasal spray. Right, and that isn't even a joke. Right, now what Sudafed is, it's like a nasal decongestant, right? So you take it when you've got a cold so you can breathe, it opens up your sinuses. But if you use it constantly, it closes up your sinuses more when you're not using it, so you have to use it all the time in order to get the same effect so you can breathe properly. It says on the bottle, don't use for more than 3 days in a row. I used it every day for 7 years. Yeah. But the problem is, when you tell someone that you are addicted to a nasal spray, you can't get any help. They will just laugh in your fucking face. Right, there's no help out there for you. There's no support network for people addicted to nasal sprays. Right, you can't turn up at Narcotics Anonymous with that story, can you? So you're going to have to follow someone with an actual tragic tale. Like, you're going to turn up at the meeting and they're going to be like, well, thank you for sharing, Barry. Don't worry, who amongst us here hasn't stolen from their grandma and then sucked off a tramp in a toilet for crack? Right, well, I see some new faces. Do you want to come give yours? Okay, cool. And I'll wander up to the podium like, hello, my name's Rob and I'm an addict. It all started when I had a bit of a sniffle. At my worst, I was going to Boots upwards of 2 times a month. Each time I would spend around £3, which was actually very easy to afford. So I gave it up, I did. I've completely knocked that on the head. So now all I do is inject Vicks Vapor Rub. Just do a bit of that. But no, like, I've done that classic thing though of like, I was a waster all my 20s and now in my 30s I'm like, oh, I could die. So right, I went to the doctors to get some advice on what to do, right? I went to my doctors, asked them what I should do to get healthier. They told me I should do something every day that raises my heart rate. So I'm back on the cocaine. Heart rate's through the roof, feeling great, got a lot of business plans. I'm not, obviously. I'm not. I'm doing good. And like, the reason I'm doing good is because I'm in a relationship. I think that's the only reason I could give up all that shit. Because like, dating's hard. It sends people weird. Like, have you heard of the incels? Yeah, they're the fucking best, aren't they? So funny. I mean, I should clarify, they are quite a serious terrorist group. Right, but what they are, if you don't know who the incels are, right, they're a group that started from internet message boards, right? They're spilt out into the real world now. And what an incel is, it stands for involuntarily celibate. Involuntarily celibate. So we're dealing with angry fucking virgins. Right, they're incredible. I found them so funny, I started doing jokes about them, right? Started doing jokes about them, then I met one. Right, one of them came up to me after a gig to complain about me incel jokes. It was fucking amazing. This guy shuffles up to me and goes, excuse me, you shouldn't make jokes about incels. It's very serious, actually. What you don't realise is women have a very unrealistic standard of attractiveness for the modern man. Yeah, laughs mainly from women there, because it's not that way round, is it? That's not the way it fucking goes. And anyway, the guy who told me this, right, when he was saying this to me, he was wearing a full-length leather trench coat, right, a fedora and leather fingerless gloves. Mate, I don't think it's an unrealistic standard to ask you not to dress like Apollo Creed has just died. sake. It's like, mate, I can see 3 reasons women aren't fucking you. I can smell a 4th. These fucking guys. Right, they just sit in their basement all day, they're on the internet all day, getting angry at women for not fucking them, like that's women's fault somehow. Like, what do they expect women to do? Do they think women are just going to go round sticking their head into random basements like, excuse me, are there any dicks I could suck down here? Yeah, I'm struggling to find one up on the surface. Of course not. Women aren't going to fall out of the sky and land on your dick. You've got to put a bit of effort in. Impress a woman. That's how it works. In heterosexual relationships, that's how it works. Men do the impressing, women do the choosing. Men do the impressing, women do the choosing, because it has to be that way round. Because if it was the other way round, we'd fucking choose all of you. The whole system would fall apart. So you've got to do some impressing. You've got to impress a woman. It's nature, it's biology, it's deep within us. It's in other species. You see it, like, think back to any nature documentary you've ever watched. It's always the male bird who has to build that house out of twigs and bottle caps, isn't it? Like, he's always flying around looking for shiny, sweet wrappers to make it look amazing. And he stood in front of that house. He stood there with his bright blue plumage looking amazing. And he's got to stand in front of that house he built with his bare beak. He's got to stand in front of it and he's still got to fucking dance. Hasn't he? He stood in front of it like, ha-ha! Please touch it! Any of you? Right, meanwhile, the female bird's some brown piece of shit. Made no effort at all. And she just wanders past like, no. So it goes. It's nature. And that is the same experience for us. It's the same. That is the same experience as splashing on a bit of jupe, putting on a nice shirt, and going down the hive to get knocked back by 4 out of 10s. It's the same thing. You've got to do it. Go face a bit of rejection. It's good for you. Put yourself out there. Because eventually, if you keep trying, eventually you will meet someone in that golden sweet spot of drunk. You know what I mean? Where they're just tipsy enough to want to, but not so much you feel bad about it. Yeah. Who knew this show would have a lesson on consent? But honestly, what fucks me off with the incels is it's all their own doing. Everything that's wrong, all of their problems, it's all down to their self-defeating attitude, right? Because what they always say is, I can't get laid. That's always what they say, I can't get laid. That phrase pisses me off so much. Because everyone can get laid. It's bullshit. All they're saying when they say, I can't get laid, is, I don't want to fuck someone of an appropriate level of attractiveness to me. Right, because there's people out there who'll fuck anyone. It's just that you don't want to fuck them. Like, if you're struggling, go find yourself a lonely minger. There's loads of them. They're everywhere. Go fuck one of them. Right, because they're not angry that no one will fuck them. They're angry that attractive people won't fuck them. But that, of course they won't. Because everyone wants to fuck attractive people. It's just that other attractive people can. Right, so they do, almost exclusively. But it doesn't matter. Just because you're not conventionally attractive doesn't mean you can't have love and sex and romance and all those wonderful things that make us human. Like, we can't all be Premier League footballers, but we can all have a kickabout in the park. Yeah. Come on. Of course we can. So get involved, right? Because if you don't think ugly people can get laid, have a look at any car crash couple you see wandering down any fucking high street. Right, they're everywhere. Ugly as fuck, happy as Larry. Be like them. Right, because if you don't think that ugly people can get laid, where do you think ugly people come from? Right, that's how they're made. Right, so if you think you can't get laid, learn to settle. Lower your standards. It's what your parents did. But anyway, it doesn't matter. We're British. We're all fucking ugly. We are. Like, on an international scale, Britain is full of mingers. Like, we really are. Like, do you not remember the first time you went abroad? Like, the first time I went to Spain, I left the airport and I was like, fucking hell, is this what people look like when they eat veg? Blew my mind. British people are minging, but to be fair, like, this is the wrong crowd to say this to, because actually, for a collection of mostly British people, you are very good looking. You are an incredibly good looking British crowd. You are. And still, the average in here is a 3 out of 10. All I'm saying is, in Sweden, you get an average of an 8 on a Burns ward. It's like, oh no, the fighter's only made me more symmetrical. But they reckon they've got it all figured out, the incels. They reckon they've got the code cracked. They reckon they know everything. Like, they've got a new theory, something they're all doing. They're all doing no fap. Do you know what this is, right? Basically, yeah, a few people have been on the internet too much, right? No fap is internet speak for no wanking, right? And basically, their theory is, if they don't masturbate and therefore keep all their semen inside themselves, that will give them, and in their words, superpowers. Right. It's not how it works, lads. It's not how it works. You've got to get bit by something radioactive. I know that much. And anyway, could you be more wrong about anything? Like, semen inside the male body does not do good things. It's not a good thing for us. Semen is a terrible poison to men. It is. Right, it sends us mental. It sends us weird. Like, semen in a male body is like lead in the reservoir. It's a terrible poison. That's why we're trying to get rid of as much of it as we can, as often as we can. Right, because this is a horrible thing for us to carry around. It's a terrible burden. That's why it's called a load. But it sends us weird. Honestly, like, for example, right, I'm sure that every woman in there will have had this same experience, depressingly. Like, at some point in your life, a guy on a bus or whatever will have stared at you way too intently, like really creepy, and you'll have been like, ugh, right? And like, I apologise that's happened to you, that's fucking awful, it should never happen. But if you've ever wondered why, if you've ever wondered how men become that creepy, the answer is 1 week without coming. Right, every man in here is 1 week away from, I wonder how she smells. So keep your levels down. Get it out of your system. It's not good for you. It's a social duty to keep your levels down. So if you're sat there thinking, oh, actually, it's been a couple of days, my levels are up a little bit, after this show, go home, rub one out, and think of me. Do it for society. Honestly, like, I'm glad I'm not dating anymore. Like, I wouldn't go full incel about it, but it's hard nowadays, I think. Like, I think dating was meant to get easier, wasn't it, in the modern day? Like, all these apps and websites were meant to help us out, make it easier. They haven't. They've made it harder, if you ask me. I think it's much harder nowadays. Like, for example, did you see Tinder did a survey of their users where they asked, what is your biggest fear when you go on a date with someone you've met online? Now, amongst men, their biggest fear was that when the woman turned up on the date, she would be less attractive than her photos. That was man's biggest fear. Now, amongst women, their biggest fear was that the man would murder them. Yeah. Bit of a disparity, isn't there? Little bit uneven. But to be honest, like, when I read that, I was glad I found out. It was a fucking eye-opener for me. I'd never even considered that before. And I was really glad that I knew, because I hadn't even thought about it. I'd never considered that women could be so fucking irrational. All right, all I'm saying is, after 3, give me a cheer if you've ever been on a date with someone off the internet and they've turned up and been worse looking than their photos. 1, 2, 3. Now, after 3, give me a cheer if you've ever been on a date and been murdered. 1, 2, 3. There you fucking go. All I'm saying is it's very unlikely. It's very statistically rare. It almost never happens. You don't need to worry so much about it. And anyway, if you're so worried about getting murdered on a date, why are you turning up looking so little like your photos? All I'm saying is, for a start, there's the very real chance you will anger your dates. Right, and secondly, if you do go missing, you're fucking staying lost. Like, I went on a date with someone off Tinder where if I'd had bad intentions, the police would have been out looking for a 23-year-old Swedish gymnast. Meanwhile, I'd be at home in my basement fritzling a retired Ukrainian shot putter. Right. I mean, I still went home with her, you know, like a gentleman. Yeah. And that's why you don't get female incels. But, you know, like, in general, like, right, here's the thing, right? I'm never trying to offend anyone. I never am, like, being a comedian. Like, that's not what I'm going for. I'm trying to make you laugh. It's just that if I do offend someone, I don't give a fuck, right? I just don't care. I don't think it matters. Go on, watch another comedian. It's fine. Like, it just doesn't matter. Nothing bad is actually happening here. And anyway, like, I do try and stay ahead of things. I don't want to upset people. Like, I'm always trying to learn all the new concepts and words that you're meant to learn. But, like, there's some people who are so fucking liberal, it becomes like a competition and they're ahead of you and you can never fucking keep up, can you? Especially me, because I'm fucking thick. Right, so I've been learning about new concepts. Like in the last couple of years, I've learned about cultural appropriation. Do you know what this is? It's the idea, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm sure most of you do. If you don't know what cultural appropriation is, it's the idea that you shouldn't take something from like an oppressed minority, from their culture, and use it for your own ends. So for example, when Katy Perry wore a Native American headdress in one of her videos, people said that she had culturally appropriated the sacred Native American headdress. For another example of cultural appropriation, there was that time that Elvis stole all black music. Cultural appropriation. Right, now I think cultural appropriation is wrong. I think it's always wrong. I think it's always wrong every single time. Under every set of circumstances, I think cultural appropriation is wrong. Which is why I don't like it when black people use the N-word, because I'm pretty sure we invented that. Thank you for laughing. If you don't, I look hella racist. It is a joke. I am just fucking around. These aren't real opinions. But by the way, if you have been offended by anything during this show, please do tweet about it, blog about it, report me for a hate crime. Fucking, that would be so good. I could use the publicity, honestly. But before we go, right, I'm going to tell you one more thing in a minute, but before we go, I've got one more bit I've got to do. Like, if you've ever been to a free show before, you'll know this is the bit where I have to dance for pennies like a cheap hooer. Right. So, basically, the way these shows work is we let you in for free, and that's great. I'm just glad you're here today. You have genuinely been a fucking incredible audience. You've been amazing. Thank you so much. Honestly. I don't say that every day. I tell people when they're cunts, right? You've been awesome today. Thank you so much. But on the way out, we just ask that you pay whatever you think the show is worth. Be that a £5, be that a £10, anything you want to pay, that's great. I've got a card machine if you want. I've got cash. If you're watching this on YouTube, my PayPal will be underneath. You can pay on there. Like, I'm fucking taking money from any cunt. I don't give a shit. But basically, like, you guys supporting me with cash is how I can do things like this. This is how I can afford to film this. This is how I can afford to make this by myself. It's how I can afford to make specials that are uncensored and unfiltered. I don't have to go to a TV company where a producer goes, no, you can't say that. I can put it out directly to you. So if you want me to make more things, then that's the way to do it, is in order to stump up a bit of cash. But whatever you think that you can pay, I would appreciate it, that's great. But also what I'd love from you is if you've enjoyed this show, tell other people about it, right? If you're on the internet watching this, just share it, put it on your Facebook, tweet about it, do that sort of thing. People who are here at Edinburgh right now, go tell people in bars. I've got a couple more days left of the show. It'd be great to have more people there. I'd really appreciate that. And take one of my flyers on the way out so you can get me on Twitter and on Instagram. You can check out my podcast. All those details are on the flyer. It's at Rob Mulholland. The podcast is called Rob Mulholland Has an Opinion. Check all those things. And also, subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's on the flyer, and that's where this special will be. So you can maybe see yourselves. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be lovely, won't it? And also, if you haven't enjoyed the show, don't be a fucking grass. Right, but before we go, I'll tell you one more thing, right? Because I'm in my 30s now, and I think that's good for me. Getting older's been good for me. It's made me wiser. And the very reason I think I'm wiser is I now know what a fucking idiot I am. Right, like when I was younger, when I was 18, I thought I was dead smart, right? I thought I was really clever because I'd read like Tolstoy and stuff. But when I say I'd read Tolstoy, I'd read about 5 pages, get confused and stop. Right? And I thought that counted somehow. I was like, I've read it, that counts. Right? But now I know I'm an idiot. Now all I do is just sit in my pants all day watching monkeys fight crocodiles on YouTube. Like, my brain's mush. Right, but I've got all these opinions about everything. I argue with people all the time about shit I know nothing about. Right, so don't take me seriously. Everything I'm saying up here is intended as a joke. I've got no wisdom to impart to you. Like, if you've at any point during this show thought, you know what, he's actually got quite a good point about that, you're wrong! I'm a fucking moron! Right, with all that in mind, with that said, let's talk about feminism. Oh yeah, that got tense fucking quick, didn't it? Amazing. By the way, I'm on your side. You can unclench, ladies. It's fine. And by the way, there's no point in death staring me anyway. It's not the first time I've angered a vagina dry. But I'm on your team. It's okay. Chill out, right? Obviously, long ago, the argument has been won. Obviously, women deserve equal treatment, equal pay, equal respect. We haven't got there yet, but we need to, as a society, all work together to make that happen. Obviously. But all I'm saying is, after a while, any sort of movement and ideology, what happens is the main message can stay strong, but people start tagging on new ideas to the main message, wrapping them up in the branding, and they can be bullshit, these new ideas, without affecting the main message. And I think that's what's been happening lately with online feminism, because like my girlfriend came up to me with a blog she'd found on her phone that had a new concept on it. Right, and she showed me this, I read it, and I'm not fucking having it. Right, now, you can judge me on this, that's fine. I see a few you already have. But no, the concept I'm not having is the concept of orgasm equality. Do you know what this is? Right, it is an idea that has been mooted on feminist blogs that within every heterosexual relationship, for every orgasm that the man has, the woman should have one too. Now, I think that is a very noble and laudable aim that we should all work towards in our relationships. As long as women, you, hurry the fuck up. It's not the same amount of effort, is it? That is not a fair trade. That's like saying every time you make me a cup of tea, I've got to cook you a full roast dinner. It's not the same at all. All I'm saying is, ladies, when you can have one accidentally, then we'll talk about equality. So it's not like that, is it? You've got to light a few candles, get the mood just right, and then you've got to focus in on your feminine energy, find that orgasm within you, and if there's the slightest noise outside the room and you're like, oh, what's that? It's like, oh, brilliant, let's start this all over again, shall we? Yeah, fantastic, another half hour on my knees with lockjaw. And by the way, I know that there'll be a few of you sat there right now like, oh, half an hour, that seems like a long time, and you're not very good at it, Rob. Right, because you always assume it's male incompetence that leaves you unsatisfied, don't you? You always think it's something we don't know. Well, it's not. I'm here to let you in on a secret about men that you don't know, ladies, and it applies to all of us, every single one of us, and you've got no fucking idea. Now, I'm sorry, lads, I'm fucking doing it. Here it is. What you don't know about men is every one of us, every last one of us, knows where the clitoris is. We do. We've seen it on the internet. Right, and let's face it, it's not hard to find. It's right there and the whole thing fucking points at it. Right, and it's right there. It doesn't move. It's not in different places on different people. Like, I've never had a mate go on a date and be like, how was it, man? And be like, yeah, fucking amazing. I was licking her elbow all night. No, it's right there. And it's not hard to find at all. I know you like to think that sometimes you're unsatisfied because your bodies are so magical and mysterious and we couldn't possibly figure them out because we're too thick. But it's not well hidden. It's not well hidden at all. It's just down there like, We can still see that. It's right there. It's like when you play hide and seek with a toddler and they hide under a rug. I know what that bulge is. I can see a foot sticking out, dickhead. So, I will have you know that it's nothing to do with not being able to find it. It's just that sometimes we can't be fucking arsed. Right. It's a lot of work. So, I will have you know, in that scenario before, when I was talking about half an hour, when I was talking about that, that is nothing to do with my technique. No, my technique is fucking impeccable, thank you very much. It's just that in that scenario, she's had 3 glasses of wine and set her vagina to difficult mode. Like 3 glasses of wine and it's over. Dead down there, nothing happening. You've got to believe in yourselves more, ladies. Really want it. Really dig deep. Like, I can still come after 3 bottles of toilet duck. You've just got to believe. Really want it. Because you can do it quicker. I know you can. You can pick that pace up. You're lollygagging. You're dragging your heels. I know you are, because I've seen it done. I was there. 2 minutes flat. 2 minutes, and she was shaking like a retired boxer. I've seen it. So here's my point. If there is one, here's what it is. Right. When they're talking about orgasm equality, they don't mean orgasm equality, do they? No, they mean the same amount of orgasms. But that's not equality, is it? No. I'd love some orgasm equality. I'd love it to be equal. I want one of your orgasms where it looks like you're being possessed by the fucking devil. Like, I've seen female orgasms that look like a Southern Baptist minister giving a sermon. Like, testify! I want one of those! So what do I get instead? A male orgasm. Brilliant. A shitty male orgasm. Like, all a male orgasm is just a dull thud of relief and regret. Yeah, that's why we never sound happy about them. We're like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Jesus Christ. Well, at least I get to not stare at women on the bus tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been an absolute delight. My name's Mulholland. Thank you very much. Good night.